Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in.
They dreamed of a new life in Canada, a bright future, a happy marriage. But what started as a romantic promise soon spiraled into a deadly game of deceit, greed, and revenge. This is the story of how a marriage scam turned into murder, and why the truth is still buried beneath layers of lies. Harpreet Singh, 26 years old, ambitious, hopeful, the pride of his village in Punjab. His parents sold part of their farmland to fund his dream. A Canadian life, and a beautiful NRI bride to share it with. He thought he found both in Harpreet Kaur, a charming woman from Surrey, British Columbia. Their online conversations were warm, her voice soft and assuring. "I can help you get here faster," she'd said. "All I need is trust." He gave her everything: money, devotion, even his future. Harpreet Kaur wasn't working alone. Behind the scenes was her mother, Sukhdarshan, and her brother Manpreet. Together, they created a perfect illusion. A Canadian family eager to welcome a husband into their home. They didn't just scam Aman, they scammed at least 7 other men across Punjab, promising marriage, visas, and love, before vanishing with over 1.6 Indian rupees crore. To the victims, they were angels of opportunity. To the police, they were architects of greed, money, status, control. But beneath that, something darker. Harpreet's messages revealed manipulation. Jealousy when Aman questioned her, emotional blackmail when he hesitated. She knew exactly how to twist love into leverage. For her, men were pawns in a long con, a system that funded her comfortable life in Canada. For Aman, she was his last hope. By mid-2025, the scam began to unravel. Police in Punjab intercepted reports of fake marriages, intercepted forged documents, and tracked money transfers to Harpreet's family. Sukhdarshan and Manpreet were arrested at a hotel in Doraha during a staged engagement ceremony. Harpreet, however, was still in Canada, beyond the reach of Indian law. Aman felt betrayed, ruined, obsessed. He wanted justice or revenge. He began reaching out to others who'd been scammed. Late-night calls, secret meetings, plans whispered in the dark. And then, things took a dangerous turn. On August 12, 2025, police found Aman's motorcycle abandoned near a canal. Hours later, his body surfaced downstream. One gunshot wound. No weapon recovered. Investigators discovered threatening messages on his phone. Some traced to an overseas number linked to Harpreet's old WhatsApp account. But here's where the story bends. Harpreet's passport records show she entered India 2 weeks before Aman's death, then disappeared again, before police could locate her. With Aman dead, the story shifted from fraud to homicide. Was it suicide, revenge, or a silencing? Some say Aman went to confront Harpreet's family. Others believe she came back to finish what she started, a final act of revenge to protect her secret empire. Police reopened the case, but Harpreet was gone, and now, rumors swirl of her resurfacing under a new identity in Toronto, still running the same game. What began as a scam for money ended in blood. A young man is dead, a family destroyed, and a ghost of a woman moves freely across borders. But the truth, the real truth, is only beginning to surface, because new evidence suggests Aman wasn't her only victim. And Harpreet's story is about to get even darker. After Aman's body was found, Harpreet disappeared. Police traced her last known location to a guest house near Amritsar, where a staff member recalled seeing a woman with foreign accent and heavy jewelry leave in the middle of the night. 2 days later, immigration logs show Harpreet re-entered Canada through Toronto Pearson Airport. But here's the twist. The name on the passport wasn't Harpreet Kaur. It was Preeti Manhas. Same face, new identity. Someone had helped her wipe her tracks clean. By early 2026, Preeti had married again. Her new husband, Rajesh Sani, was an Indian tech consultant living in Brampton. He met her at a local Gurdwara. She told him she was a widow. Her husband in India had died in an accident. Rajesh fell fast. They married within months. He told friends, "She's gentle, quiet, and perfect." But behind closed doors, things were different. Harpreet controlled everything. His bank accounts, his calls, even his business trips. And soon, she began urging Rajesh to bring his cousins from Punjab to study and settle in Canada. A familiar pattern. Back in Punjab, police reopened Aman's case. During forensic analysis of his phone, investigators found a deleted WhatsApp chat titled Visa Batch, Phase 3. Inside were messages detailing money transfers, fake marriage documents, and profile pictures of men and women already living in Canada under new identities. And one of those photos was of Rajesh, Harpreet's new husband. He was unknowingly part of her network, used to sponsor more fake students and cover her operations. The web was wider than anyone imagined. An anonymous informant, a woman using the alias Riya, contacted investigators. She claimed she had worked with Harpreet's family, helping forge educational certificates for visa brides. But what Riya revealed next was chilling. Harpreet wasn't just scamming for money anymore. She was using marriages to move people. People connected to something bigger, maybe even criminal groups. When pressed for names, Riya stopped responding. 2 weeks later, she went missing on her way home from her night shift. Her phone last pinged near a quiet industrial park in Mississauga. Rajesh began to notice inconsistencies too. Secret calls in the middle of the night, Harpreet disappearing for hours, large sums of money moving through accounts he never opened. One night, while Harpreet was asleep, he unlocked her phone. What he saw froze his blood. A hidden folder titled Phase 4, Punjab to Canada. Inside, dozens of scanned passports, wedding photos, bank transfers, and chat logs. And at the bottom, a single photo of Amanpreet Singh, the man whose death had been ruled as undetermined. But the caption below his image read, handled, next target, Rajesh. Rajesh fled their house the next morning and filed a report. By the time detectives arrived, Harpreet was gone again. Security footage showed her leaving the house in a silver Toyota SUV with temporary plates, carrying a single black suitcase. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. Interpol later issued a notice linking Harpreet, now using at least 3 different identities, to visa fraud, extortion, and suspected homicide across 2 countries. She started as a scammer, preying on the dreams of desperate men. Now she's a ghost, vanishing between borders, leaving behind broken families, ruined lives, and bodies that whisper her name. But what investigators uncovered next would take this case from fraud and murder to something far more terrifying. A global syndicate trading not just in fake marriages, but in people. After Harpreet vanished from Brampton, Canadian and Indian authorities joined forces through Interpol's South Asia Cybercrimes Division. Their first clue came from a financial audit. Over $2.7 million moved through shell companies registered under names linked to Harpreet's aliases, Preeti Manhas, Gorleen S., and Simran Gill. The companies had one thing in common. They specialized in immigration consulting and student placement. But when investigators traced the listed office in downtown Toronto, it was empty, just a locked door, and a pile of unclaimed mail addressed to names that didn't exist. Digging deeper, cyber forensics found encrypted chat logs from a messaging app called Orion, an underground platform used by traffickers to coordinate movements across borders. Inside those logs were coded messages referring to packages equals people being moved, weddings equals fake marriages used to launder money, visas equals transit documents created with stolen identities. And the handle controlling multiple threads? At Bride Mother 87. Traced back to an IP address in Vancouver, the user logged in every Thursday at 2 a.m., transferring encrypted files and instructing others in both English and Punjabi. The voice in one leaked audio clip matched Harpreet's from her old WhatsApp recordings. Police finally caught a break when Arjun, a 23-year-old student from Jalandhar, came forward. He confessed he had been recruited by Harpreet's network to marry a woman in Canada in exchange for permanent residency. But when he arrived, his passport was taken. He was forced to work in underground warehouses, threatened, unpaid, and watched. He escaped one night through a back exit, barefoot in the snow, hiding in a freight container until a truck driver found him near Winnipeg. His statement connected Harpreet's visa marriages directly to human trafficking and forced labor. Arjun's testimony opened the floodgates. More victims surfaced. Young women promised modeling careers. Men lured with fake study permits. Families deceived with forged marriage certificates. Each case led back to the same digital fingerprints, Harpreet's network. Interpol analysts now believed Harpreet wasn't acting alone. She was part of a tri-country syndicate involving contacts in India, the UAE, and Canada, and her operation had ties to money laundering and, possibly, organized crime families in Surrey and Dubai. In early 2027, a tip led police to a condo in Burnaby, British Columbia. Neighbors reported screams and strange activity at night. When officers raided the property, they found 3 trafficked women, 2 from Punjab, 1 from Nepal, and stacks of forged documents. Among the seized items, a Canadian passport in the name Simran Gill, a diamond necklace engraved with HK, and a phone logged into at Bride Mother 87. The laptop recovered from the condo had one unsent email draft. Subject line: Phase 5, eliminate leads. The body of the message contained a single line: Rajesh has talked. Take care of him before the 10th. Detectives rushed to warn Rajesh, Harpreet's second husband. But when they arrived at his Brampton apartment, the door was open, lights flickering. Inside, no sign of struggle, but Rajesh was gone. His phone last pinged from a desolate stretch of highway outside Niagara Falls. In the trunk of his car, police found a blood-stained scarf, embroidered with gold thread, identical to the ones Harpreet wore at her wedding. She started as a scammer, then became a manipulator. Now, she's a ghost running a human trafficking empire across borders, leaving bodies and broken lives wherever she goes. The police have international warrants. The victims have scars that never fade. But Harpreet? She's still out there. Or maybe she's closer than anyone realizes. By 2027, Harpreet Kaur had vanished into thin air. Her marriage scam had evolved into a global trafficking empire. Interpol was hunting her. Victims were talking, but one detective, one man, would go further than anyone else to bring her down, until she started hunting him back. Detective Rohan Malik, 38 years old, Toronto Police Special Crimes Unit. Calm, calculated, a man known for chasing ghosts. He'd built his career investigating cross-border fraud, but nothing prepared him for Harpreet Kaur. He took the case after reading Arjun's testimony, the escaped trafficking victim. His words haunted him. She smiles like an angel, but speaks like someone who's already buried you. To Malik, this wasn't just another fugitive. It was personal. His sister had once been targeted in a similar marriage fraud years before. He swore to find Harpreet, no matter the cost. Malik began assembling what came to be known as the Bride Mother Files, a secret digital dossier tracking every alias, location, and transaction tied to Harpreet. It revealed something chilling. Harpreet's network was still active. Even after the Burnaby raid, new shell companies were appearing, all registered under the same initials, HK. And every Thursday night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., an encrypted Orion account under the handle at BrideMother87 logged in for 7 minutes. Malik stayed up night after night, watching the signal flicker on a black screen. And then, one night, it flickered back, and a message appeared. "Detective, you're late." At first, Malik thought it was a taunt, a hacker maybe. But then the messages became personal. "You think you know me? Check your car, Rohan. You missed the real bride." The next morning, Malik found a white envelope tucked under his windshield wiper. Inside, a USB drive and a Polaroid photo. The photo showed a dimly lit hotel room. In the background, sitting on the edge of a bed, was Rajesh Sani, Harpreet's missing husband. Alive, terrified, written across the photo in red marker. "You still have time." Malik traced the data on the USB drive. It contained a GPS coordinate, pointing to a warehouse on the outskirts of Mississauga. Against protocol, he went alone. Inside, the air smelled of metal and bleach. Cameras clicked as he walked deeper into the shadows. Then he saw them. Mannequins dressed in wedding attire, faces painted to look like Harpreet's victims. In the center of the room stood a small TV screen playing a looping video. Harpreet, wearing a red bridal veil, whispering, "You wanted to find me. Now I've found you." The screen went black, and then a phone rang, his own, unknown number. He answered, "Leave my story alone, detective, or your family becomes part of it." The warehouse was cleared by SWAT teams an hour later. No suspects, no prints, no sign of Harpreet. But forensic analysis confirmed. The USB was encrypted with Harpreet's old digital signature. When Malik filed his report, his supervisor ordered him off the case for personal safety. He refused. That's when the threats escalated. His apartment broken into, his car tracked with a GPS bug, and his sister, the one he once saved from a similar scam, began receiving messages from an unknown number. "Do you believe he can protect you this time?" Malik knew then. Harpreet was watching him, not from across the world, but from right here in Canada. Detective Malik thought he was chasing a criminal, but he'd stepped into the web of a woman who plays with fear like a violin. Every step he took closer to Harpreet. She took one step closer to his life. And when his sister vanished 3 weeks later, Malik realized this wasn't a chase anymore. It was personal revenge. It happened on a quiet Friday evening in Toronto. Ria Malik, 32, a nurse, single mother, and Rohan's younger sister, never made it home after her night shift. Her car was found idling outside the hospital parking lot. The driver's door was open. Inside, her purse, her phone, and a folded wedding invitation. The card was printed in gold ink. The names read, Harpreet and Rohan Malik. When Rohan saw the invitation, his hands shook. Harpreet wasn't taunting him anymore. She was playing a psychological game. The card's RSVP section had a handwritten note. "Your sister said yes. Now it's your turn." Investigators scanned the card for fingerprints. Nothing, but the paper fibers contained traces of perfume, a rare floral scent imported from Dubai. The same perfume Harpreet was known to wear. A few days later, a courier delivered a small box to Rohan's desk. No return address. Inside, a silver anklet, Riaz, engraved with her initials. A USB drive labeled for the groom. On the video, grainy CCTV footage showed Riaz sitting in a dimly lit room. Behind her, lace curtains swayed from an open window. Her eyes were swollen, her lips trembling. Then, a familiar voice whispered from off-screen, calm, composed, and chillingly soft. "Rohan, every vow has a price. How far will you go to keep yours?" The video ended abruptly. No location, no demands, just silence. Desperate, Rohan retraced every case file, every shell company, every digital trace. That's when he found a recent transaction. A flight booked under the alias Simran Gill to Halifax, Nova Scotia. He contacted local police and boarded the next flight. At Halifax Airport, surveillance footage captured a woman in a red coat leading another woman, blindfolded, toward a waiting black SUV. Rohan froze the footage at frame 123. The woman in the red coat turned toward the camera. Even through the blur of pixels, it was Harpreet. 2 nights later, Rohan tracked the SUV's plates to a secluded coastal property. An old house overlooking the Atlantic, registered under a dead man's name. The place was quiet. The air smelled of sea salt and rust. Inside, photos of brides lined the hallway. Women from Punjab, Nepal, Bangladesh, all marked with numbers instead of names. Then, from the basement, a faint sound. He followed it down, gun drawn. At the bottom of the stairs, a wedding setup. White flowers, a chair draped in red cloth, and Riya, unconscious, bound to it. He rushed forward, only for a screen behind her to flicker on. Harpreet appeared, smiling under her bridal veil. "You finally made it, detective. But do you really think this story ends with me?" A timer began counting down on the screen. 10:00, 9:59, 9:58. Rohan grabbed his sister and ran. They made it out moments before the house erupted in flames, the explosion lighting up the night sky. Firefighters found no body, no remains. But investigators did recover a single object from the wreckage, a melted pendant shaped like the letter H. Riya survived, but suffered trauma and memory loss. She remembered only one sentence Harpreet whispered before she passed out. "He still doesn't know what I took." What Harpreet took remains unknown. But soon, a new encrypted message appeared in Malik's inbox, sent from an untraceable account. "Phase 6 begins. Watch your back, Rohan." She burned the evidence, vanished from the map, and left a detective broken in the ashes. But Harpreet isn't gone. She's preparing something bigger. And this time, she's not just targeting victims. She's targeting law enforcement itself. After years on the run, Harpreet Kaur had become a legend. A ghost bride who built a trafficking empire across continents. But in 2028, she returned not to hide, not to run, but to strike back. And this time, her target was the very system that tried to destroy her. 3 months after the explosion that nearly killed Detective Rohan Malik and his sister, the Toronto Police Cyber Division received an anonymous file dropped titled Phase 6. Inside were 42 gigabytes of confidential police records, investigations, undercover identities, and sealed witness lists. All leaked online within hours. The file was digitally signed with one familiar signature: HK Red Bride. The chaos was immediate. Dozens of cases compromised. 2 witnesses disappeared within 48 hours. And 1 officer was found dead in his car. An apparent suicide, though the message scrawled on his hand suggested otherwise. "She knows everything." Detective Malik was suspended pending internal review. Some higher-ups believed he had leaked the data while obsessed with Harpreet's case. But Rohan knew better. When forensics traced the leak, they found it came from a server inside Toronto Police HQ itself. Someone on the inside had helped Harpreet gain access. She wasn't just taunting the system. She was inside it. Rohan reached out to the only person who could help him: Inspector Aisha Khan, a cybercrime specialist from Interpol. Together, they began decrypting Harpreet's latest digital trail. They discovered Phase 6 wasn't just a hack. It was a plan, a coordinated operation to dismantle every remaining investigation connected to Harpreet's syndicate, one department at a time. Attached to the files were voice notes, each ending with the same phrase in Punjabi: "For every bride they broke, I will break a lawman." Inspector Khan's analysis revealed that Harpreet's contact within the police was none other than Superintendent Vikram Sati, Rohan's former superior, the man who had once led the original fraud inquiry in Punjab. Bank records showed large deposits to his offshore account, routed through a Dubai-based immigration consultancy. When confronted, Sati fled headquarters, but an anonymous caller tipped police about his location, an abandoned airstrip outside Ottawa. When the SWAT team arrived, they found Sati's SUV, doors open, engine running. On the dashboard, a single red bridal veil lay folded neatly, and taped to the steering wheel was a phone, playing Harpreet's voice. "You thought you could sell my story, Vikram. Now, you're part of it." No body was found. Days later, Rohan received a package at his apartment. A black box containing a single SIM card. When inserted into a phone, it automatically played a video message. Harpreet sat in a dimly lit room, dressed in white. No makeup, no disguise. Her tone was calm, almost intimate. "You tried to hunt me, detective. You never asked why. You think I'm a monster. But tell me, how different are you from me? You protect the system that ruined lives. I destroy it. The difference is, I don't pretend." She leaned closer to the camera, whispering, "Phase 7 begins with truth, and you're going to help me tell it." Then, static. The video ended. But in the background, just before the feed cut, investigators identified a reflection, a Toronto landmark, the CN Tower. Harpreet was back. In the city. The next morning, half the Toronto police network went dark. Traffic lights, emergency lines, and internal databases, all locked with the same message. Bride system restart. 59 minutes. A live countdown appeared on every police monitor in the city. Detectives, officers, dispatchers. Everyone froze. And in his inbox, Rohan received one final message, time-stamped at 12:01 a.m. "Find me before it hits 0, or the truth dies with me." She infiltrated the system that once hunted her. Now, she's rewritten the rules, turning justice into her weapon. But as the clock ticks down and the city falls into chaos, one question remains. Is Harpreet exposing corruption, or becoming the very monster she once fought? By midnight, half the city's communication systems were offline. 911 calls went unanswered. Traffic lights glitched in sync, causing dozens of collisions across downtown Toronto. Every digital billboard across the city lit up with a face, Harpreet's. Eyes calm, voice steady. "You took our homes. You took our names. You made us ghosts. Tonight, the ghosts come home." The message ended with a countdown clock. 47 minutes and 33 seconds. Police confirmed the source was an encrypted live stream, hosted on dozens of mirror servers worldwide. No way to shut it down. No way to trace it. Detective Rohan Malik and Inspector Aisha Khan were working from an isolated mobile unit, disconnected from the main grid. They noticed something strange. Harpreet's broadcast code contained repeating numeric patterns. 1109, 0322, 1504. At first it looked random, but Rohan realized the numbers corresponded to case dates. Unsolved disappearances from Harpreet's original marriage scam network. Every number represented a victim, and each timestamp in the code matched a burial site near immigration safe houses. Harpreet wasn't just seeking revenge. She was forcing them to uncover the bodies the system ignored. As Rohan raced to verify the coordinates, tactical teams uncovered graves across Ontario, each with a photo of a missing woman, each marked with the initials HK. But one grave was different. It was empty, and inside the casket lay a police badge. Badge number 3746, Detective R. Malik. Taped to the badge was a note. "The last bride must die before dawn." Rohan froze. He wasn't chasing Harpreet anymore. She was hunting him. Aisha discovered that Harpreet's entire system was designed around one encrypted master key, stored in a hidden cloud drive only accessible through an old immigration database. When she cracked the first layer, she gasped. The access credentials weren't Harpreet's. They belonged to Rohan Malik. It was his name, his old police ID, his signature. Rohan was in shock. He'd never seen the file before. But the metadata confirmed it had been created under his login 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the same week Harpreet's husband and several victims had vanished. Had someone framed him? Or had Harpreet somehow used his identity all along? With 12 minutes left on the countdown, Harpreet's livestream resumed. She was standing in front of a massive window, city lights glittering behind her, the CN Tower visible in the distance. "Rohan," she said softly, "you built this world of lies. Now you'll help me burn it down." Rohan recognized the skyline reflection. It wasn't just anywhere. It was the abandoned wedding venue once seized during the 2019 immigration raids. The same one where Harpreet was first arrested. He and Aisha raced through the empty downtown streets, lights off, sirens silent. Each second ticked closer to zero. When they arrived, the entire hall was filled with mannequins dressed as brides. Hundreds of them, each wearing a mask with Harpreet's face. A haunting loop played through the speakers. "Till death do us part. Till death do us part." At the center stood a projector, and on it, a video feed of Harpreet, smiling. "You made me your case, Rohan, but you were always part of the story." The clock hit 2 minutes. Aisha found a laptop connected to the building's main circuit. If they could override it, they could stop the broadcast. But the screen suddenly flashed. "Access granted, Detective R. Malik." Before they could react, the projector switched to live footage. Rohan's police confession file, signed, stamped, and dated, appeared on the wall. It was his own handwriting, his name on every fake visa, every forged marriage approval. Aisha turned toward him, stunned. "Rohan, what did you do?" He shook his head, backing away. "That's not me. I never." The countdown hit 10 seconds, and just before the hall went black, Harpreet's voice whispered through the speakers, soft, chilling, and final. "The truth always finds the guilty, even if they wear a badge." Then, total darkness. When the lights returned, the building was empty. No Harpreet, no broadcast, only Rohan's badge, lying in the center of the stage. Toronto woke up to chaos. Leaked police confessions, exposed immigration crimes, and whispers that the city's own detectives were part of the scam all along. But one question still echoed in the aftermath. If Harpreet was the monster, then who created her? When the lights went out, the world saw only chaos. But beneath the ashes of Harpreet's final broadcast, one truth began to surface. A truth that would turn Detective Rohan Malik from hero to suspect. The morning after the blackout, Toronto police launched an internal investigation. Dozens of officers were suspended. Files dating back a decade were reopened. And at the center of it all, Detective Rohan Malik. His ID had been used to approve at least 16 fraudulent spousal visas, many connected to missing women tied to Harpreet's trafficking network. Rohan denied everything, but the evidence, digital signatures, transaction trails, phone records, all pointed to him. Inspector Aisha Khan, once his closest ally, was now ordered to interrogate him. In a cold, dimly lit room, Aisha slid a folder across the table. Inside, a photograph. Rohan, 5 years earlier, standing beside Harpreet at a charity event in Chandigarh. His arm around her shoulder, both smiling. "You told me you met her through a case file," Aisha said quietly. "But this photo was taken 6 months before her arrest. So tell me, Rohan, who is she to you?" Rohan's eyes dropped. For the first time, he didn't have an answer. Rohan had served in the Punjab police before transferring to Toronto under an exchange program. But there was one unexplained gap in his service record. A full year missing from his official file. When Aisha traced it, she found something disturbing. Rohan had once been part of a special task unit called Operation Shakti. A covert investigation into marriage scams targeting Indian women sent abroad under false pretenses. The operation had ended in blood. 9 officers dismissed, 2 missing, and 1, codenamed Agent 37, vanished with the final case evidence. Rohan's personnel number, 37. As Aisha pieced together old records, a deeper story emerged. Harpreet Kaur had not always been the criminal. 5 years earlier, she was one of Rohan's informants. She had infiltrated the same trafficking ring she would later take over, feeding intelligence to Rohan, helping him build his case. But something went wrong. During a covert raid in Punjab, Harpreet's husband, a mid-level recruiter in the scam, was killed, and leaked internal messages revealed that Rohan was the one who ordered the raid. The reports were never filed, the mission buried, the guilt unspoken. That's when Harpreet vanished, and Rohan transferred to Canada. As the interrogation continued, Aisha showed him one last file. An encrypted message recovered from Harpreet's laptop after the blackout. It was titled The Bride Code. When decrypted, it revealed a complex network of fake marriage applications, all routed through a police-secured immigration portal. Every account, every login was created using Rohan's credentials. But embedded deep in the code was a second name, an alias only Harpreet would know, 37_truth. Attached was a note in her voice. You wanted justice, Rohan. I gave you the truth. But when the system failed, I became the justice you couldn't. Aisha sat back, stunned. Harpreet hadn't forged his identity. She had used his old operation as the skeleton of her network. She built her empire on his mission, his system, his code. Overwhelmed, Rohan whispered, "She was never my enemy. She was my creation." Aisha looked at him, conflicted. "Then why is she still coming after you?" Rohan stared at the wall, his expression hollow. "Because I left her to die." That night, Rohan was released under supervision. But as he stepped into his car, his dashboard screen flickered to life. Harpreet's face appeared once again, faint through the static. "You remember now, don't you? The fire in Punjab wasn't an accident. You burned everything, including me." Her voice softened, trembling with emotion. "Now you'll burn too, and everyone you protect." The feed cut. Then, on his phone, a single text arrived from an untraceable number. Phase 8 begins at dawn. He thought he was the hunter. He thought she was the criminal. But as truth unraveled, one fact became clear. Harpreet's revenge wasn't just personal. It was justice, rewritten in blood. And as dawn approached, one question haunted every investigator in Toronto. If Phase 8 begins at sunrise, what ends when it's over? At exactly 6 a.m., the city's emergency broadcast system activated. Not by officials, but by Harpreet's network. The screens across downtown showed her face once again, this time without the veil. Her eyes were cold, but calm. "Good morning, Toronto. This is not an attack. This is the truth you buried." Behind her, the camera panned to reveal a wall filled with documents, case files, and ID cards, all belonging to women who disappeared between 2016 and 2023. Pinned above them was a faded photo. Rohan Malik, Punjab Police. Operation Shakti. Harpreet continued. "You called us scammers, traffickers, liars, but you never asked why we did what we did. The truth? We were your informants, used, discarded, and silenced. And when I begged for protection, you sent fire instead." As she spoke, leaked footage played. Never before seen video from a body cam in Punjab. 2018. It showed a police raid on a suspected marriage fraud house. Gunfire, screams, and then the building engulfed in flames. Amid the chaos, Harpreet's voice could be heard screaming for help. The man giving the order to retreat? Detective Rohan Malik. What the world didn't know, until now, was that the fire wasn't caused by criminals. It was part of a cover-up ordered by senior officers to erase evidence that police had been taking bribes from trafficking recruiters. Harpreet's husband was collateral damage. So was her unborn child. And when she survived, scarred and broken, she made a vow. If justice burned me alive, I would become the fire. Police units across Toronto scrambled to trace the broadcast source. It was being relayed through multiple proxy nodes across North America. But the original signal was coming from inside the city. Aisha tracked it to an industrial district near the harbor, a derelict power substation. Rohan insisted on going alone. He knew she would be waiting for him. Inside the substation, Harpreet stood before a wall of servers, her fingers covered in ash and soot. The air was hot, humming with electricity. She didn't run. She simply said, "You finally came back to finish it." Rohan lowered his weapon. "You think this brings justice?" She laughed bitterly. "Justice died the day you obeyed that order. I begged you, Rohan. You heard me." He hesitated, guilt heavy in his voice. "I didn't know they'd burn the building." She interrupted. "You knew enough. You watched, and you turned away." She pointed to the servers. "Every file, every confession, every proof of what they did. I've archived it all. When this goes live, the whole world will see." Rohan glanced at the screens. Names of officers, bank transfers, offshore accounts. The corruption was undeniable. But one file froze him. A video labeled confession_37.mp4. It was his own face. Him, in uniform, admitting to following illegal orders. His voice shaking as he said, "If anyone finds this, tell Harpreet I'm sorry." He looked at her, shocked. "How did you get this?" She stepped closer. "You recorded it, before you ran. You forgot your own guilt, Rohan. I just reminded you." A red light began flashing across the room. The upload had started. Global release. 97% complete. Rohan begged her to stop. "You'll destroy thousands of innocent officers." Harpreet's eyes filled with tears. "Innocent? Like me?" Then she whispered, "You can't stop this. The world deserves to know." Rohan lunged for the main power switch, but Harpreet pulled a trigger hidden in her sleeve. The floor erupted in flame. The blast sent him crashing backward. Harpreet stood amid the fire, her white dress catching light, turning her into a silhouette of smoke and vengeance. "We all burn for truth, Rohan. You just get to watch it." She smiled through the fire and disappeared into the smoke. By morning, the entire system was down. Every encrypted file from Harpreet's database was released worldwide, exposing corrupt officers, immigration frauds, and international trafficking rings. But Harpreet herself was gone. No body, no trace, only one charred pendant recovered from the wreckage, the letter H. Rohan survived, severely burned. But when asked by investigators what happened inside, he simply said, "Justice finally found its voice." Phase 8 burned the line between vengeance and justice. And though the fire ended, one question remained. Was Harpreet truly gone? Or had she become something the system could never erase? As the screen fades to black, an email notification appears on Rohan's laptop. From HK-Red Bride at protonmail.com. Subject: Phase 9 Resurrection. After the fire, the world thought it was over. But you can't kill a ghost that lives in every wire, every secret, every lie. Because Harpreet Kaur didn't die in that blaze. She became it. 6 weeks after the explosion, a strange digital event swept through police networks across 3 countries. Every system infected by Harpreet's virus reactivated. Not to destroy, but to speak. The new message read, "The bride code is alive." Embedded in the signal was a video. Harpreet, sitting before a cracked mirror, her reflection distorted by static. She looked calm, serene, almost human again. "They tried to erase me with fire, but I am code now. Truth can't be buried. It uploads itself." Experts confirmed the footage wasn't live. It was a deep fake, built from hundreds of old images, audio clips, and surveillance fragments. But the chilling part? The data signature matched Harpreet's exact neural pattern. Somehow, she had digitized her own mind. In the aftermath, every major law enforcement agency faced public outrage. Harpreet's data leaks had exposed over 300 global officials linked to human trafficking, marriage scams, and police cover-ups. Some resigned, some fled, some disappeared. But while the world debated whether she was a criminal or a hero, one man refused to rest. Detective Rohan Malik. Now retired, scarred, and living alone near Halifax, he spent his nights trying to track the new signal, the digital heartbeat that seemed to follow him wherever he went. At 3:11 a.m. one night, his computer flickered on by itself. A single folder appeared on the screen. Red Bride _resurrected. Inside were hundreds of surveillance clips. People in airports, churches, weddings. All the faces blurred except one. A woman with long hair and a red scarf, always watching from the crowd. The last file was titled for Rohan. When he clicked it, Harpreet's voice filled the room. "You took my body, Rohan, but you gave me a name that will never die. I am every woman the system failed. I am every truth you buried, and I forgive you." He froze. The video ended with a timestamp. Live recording. Toronto International Airport, 4 a.m. The time was now 3:47 a.m. Rohan raced to the airport. He moved through crowds of travelers, scanning every face. Then, across the terminal, a glimpse. A woman in a red scarf. The same calm walk. The same quiet presence. He pushed through the crowd, calling out, "Harpreet!" The woman turned, half her face visible beneath the scarf. It was her, or someone who looked exactly like her. She smiled faintly and whispered, "You can't kill truth." Then she vanished into the crowd. When Rohan reached the exit, he found a flash drive on the floor. Its label, Phase 10, the wedding. Back home, Rohan inserted the drive. The screen went black. Then, a familiar interface loaded. Harpreet's voice echoed. This was never about revenge. It was about rewriting the vows the system broke. You lied to protect power. I lied to destroy it. Together, we built the fire. Images flashed. All the victims' faces appearing in sequence. Each photo faded into code, merging into one digital figure. Harpreet, cloaked in red. I am the bride of justice now, and justice never dies. The camera zoomed in on her eyes, glowing faintly with static. Then the screen cut to black. No body was ever found. No system ever fully recovered. And the Red Bride became a myth, a symbol of vengeance that outlived its maker. But sometimes, when Toronto police systems reboot, a single file still appears for a few seconds before vanishing. HK Red Bride, active. And in the data logs, one line repeats endlessly, "Till death do us part." The Red Bride series, based on true events. Justice burned in silence. Truth screamed in fire. If you think Harpreet's story ends here, you haven't met the next bride.
What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.